So in the worst thing that could have possibly came out of this situation, Chennedy Carter has not only doubled down, she is now tripled down on her, let's just say, attack on Caitlin Clark, and has said she's going to do it again. Well, not necessarily said she's going to do it again, but has liked tweets saying she should do it again, which, I'm not going to lie, that looks like a threat. That looks like it's a threat to do it again. But anyway, before we get on to the video, if you guys are new to the channel, subscribe. Thank you guys for 5,000 subscribers. Really, really do appreciate it. And don't worry, there's a couple of videos talking about this situation coming out, but we got a bunch of like NBA draft content, a bunch of actual basketball content, because thankfully we're going to be able to talk about the sport otherwise. But obviously this whole situation is kind of transcends the sport of basketball, especially with the way my channel is. But anyway, now let's get on to the video. So Chennedy Carter's liked tweets, genuinely, like, it's an awful look. It's an absolutely awful look. So I'm going to read out some of these here. And like, again, this is coming from Chennedy Carter, who basically fought her way out of the league. She got suspended because she wanted to fight teammates. Like, this is not someone who's has this stellar reputation. This is somebody who's been suspended by her own team for trying to fight her teammate and then cut from her own team because she wanted to fight her teammates. Like, it is what it is. But like, she literally liking tweets saying, Chennedy, get her one more time for me. I'm a Chennedy Carter stan forever. She doesn't want that smoke. So she's basically liking tweets, not only like praising what she did, she's liking tweets basically saying to do it again. And that might be the worst possible look for Chennedy Carter, because look, Chennedy Carter's a hell of a player. And in fairness, she probably should be glad that a lot of the people that saw this weren't really WNBA fans before this season, because it would be 100 times worse if people knew that there was some sort of history with Chennedy Carter. But it doesn't mean it's a good look either way. It's a terrible look. It's a terrible look for her. It's a terrible look for the league. Chennedy Carter will not be known as anything other than the person who cheap-shotted Caitlin Clark. And she doesn't even have to apologize if she didn't think there was any need to apologize. At the end of the day, if you agree with what you did, stand on it. Stand down 10 toes. But like, when it's refusing to answer in the media and then you go home and just start tweeting SH1T about Caitlin Clark and liking tweets insulting Clark and liking pro cheap shot tweets, how are people going to take it any other way than it was intentional? Like, I actually don't understand how it can be taken in any other way than it's intentional, because it very clearly was intentional. And a lot of people are saying like, oh, Caitlin Clark started it because she like said something to her, and it's like, one, the two of them were chirping at each other the whole game, which is fine. Like, anyone who says there's a problem with two people trash talking in basketball, it's part of the game. It's always been part of the game. But the difference is that whenever Caitlin Clark decides to chirp back, or even just trash talk in general, other teams decide to fight. Like, if it's any other player in the WNBA and there's two people going back and trash talking, they're just talking to each other. As soon as Caitlin Clark starts, we saw it with Vivian's, the punch to the neck. And then we saw this cheap shot here. So in the last two games, like in the Vivian's one, she hit a three in her face, said something to her. And obviously you could see before it, Vivian's was talking to Caitlin Clark. They were talking trash the whole time. And then Caitlin Clark gets the better of her once, hits the shot, talks trash, boom, in the neck. And this game right here, Caitlin Clark goes and gets her hand on a ball, manages to get it to Aaliyah Boston, who scores. They end up getting a little bit of a lead. Good play. She says something. So Caitlin Clark gets the upper hand over Chennedy Carter. Chennedy Carter right into the ribs. So it's like, it is genuinely a case of no matter what happens, everything's escalated. When it's Caitlin Clark, it's escalated. And it's clearly intentional. Like, it's very clearly intentional. But I don't know what the hell happens now. Because I'm not sure the WNBA can do anything, because as I've said, like, Alyssa Thomas choke slammed Angel Reese, which is more dangerous, by the way. Like, what happened to Angel Reese is more dangerous than what happened to Caitlin Clark. Both of them dangerous plays. Both of them should have been suspensions. But at least the referee made the right call on the floor. The referee can't call a suspension, but the referee made the right call to kick Alyssa Thomas out of the game. Whereas the referees not only didn't call an ejection when it should have been an ejection, not only didn't call a flagrant when that would have been not a terrible call, but not harsh enough, they called a common foul. They called a common foul. They saw the footage, and I will say this, calling someone the B word on the court probably happens 10 times a game. But when you're calling someone, calling someone the B word as you are winding up a cheap shot, that also has to be taken into account. Like, it does have to be taken into account. In general, like, two people going at each other and just calling someone a name, whatever. Obviously, there's some things you just absolutely can't say. I'm not one of the people that think calling someone the B word is the worst of the worst. There's obviously some things that if you say to another player, is just completely not on. Like, everybody knows, I'm not going to say it here, everybody knows what's absolutely crossing a line. I don't think calling someone the B word is crossing a line. But calling someone the B word while literally freaking winding up for a cheap shot, yeah, that has to be taken into account. And then after the cheap shot, staring over and saying something before walking away. Like, you can't give, like, that is 3 separate technical foul occasions. Even if you wanted to call the hit a flagrant, or even the hit a common foul, technical, common, technical. There were 3 situations there, and the referee only got the least severe of them all. It was the least severe. So, I will say this, as bad as what happened on the floor was, we've seen 100 times worse things than this. And if Draymond Green did what Chennedy Carter did, Draymond Green would be out of the league. If Draymond Green started liking tweets telling him to put Rudy Gobert in another chokehold, he would have gotten a 20-game suspension. I think he got 5 for doing it. But if he was liking tweets, showing no remorse, and like doubling down on what he did on Twitter, where everyone can see, that suspension goes from 5 games to 20 games. It's just the truth. It's just the truth. And these WNBA players want to be treated like NBA players, or they want to be like paid like top level athletes. They need to be treated like top level athletes. Sorry, I'm from Dublin. The THs don't really work too well with the accent. But if they want to be treated like like top level performers, even, they have to be also treated like it when it doesn't suit. But the WNBA seems to, I'm going to make another video, they seem to want prison ball. They seem to be happy with prison ball. They seem to be happy with the reputation the league is going to have. And Chennedy Carter has done nothing. She will not be known as anything other than this, by the way. And that's the scary part, is that, like, I watched the Chicago Sky play a lot of games. Chennedy Carter's been brilliant this year. She was unbelievable last night. But the problem is that as much as people want to say, oh, Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese are equal draws, nobody's watching the Chicago Sky. I'm sorry. Like, Angel Reese is a celebrity. There are people that are fans of Angel Reese. Those fans are very rarely buying tickets. Those fans are probably not watching the games. Or not probably, like, a lot of them are not watching the games. If you are an Angel Reese fan, you watch the game, fair play. But, like, the viewership numbers from the Sky versus Fever is crazy. I think that as far as bigger celebrity goes, Angel Reese is a bigger celebrity. Clearly. Brilliant for the league. Was clearly in the wrong yesterday, but at the end of the day, I still think she's had an unbelievable year. I think she's a great teammate. I think the world of Angel Reese. I think she is, like, she is not a flawless person, but, like, she's a good person. She just made a mistake yesterday. But the scary part is that almost everybody who watched this game, the only thing they're ever going to remember from Chennedy Carter is what she has done and what she has done in the aftermath. She could have put a stop to it. In that interview, if she said, things got a little bit heated, we were talking back and forth, and I probably crossed the line. That one line ends it there and then. But this is going to keep going until the WNBA do something, and they're not going to do something about it.